What surprises them most is how emotional this understanding has become. They expected reflection. They expected memories. They expected questions. What they did not expect was the intensity of the emotions attached to those realizations. Every new insight seems to carry emotional weight. Every new perspective seems to reveal another reason why this connection remains important. Instead of fading, the significance of the situation is becoming clearer. Instead of disappearing, the lessons are becoming stronger. Your heart needs to hear this because your soulmate is no longer seeing this connection through the eyes of the person they used to be. They are seeing it through the eyes of someone who has grown, matured, and learned from life. That new perspective is revealing truths that were invisible before. It is showing them how much this journey shaped them. It is showing them how much they learned because of it. And it is showing them why the guilt has become impossible to ignore. As these realizations continue unfolding, one truth keeps becoming stronger than all the others. The guilt is not appearing now because they are meant to suffer. It is appearing now because they are finally ready to understand. They are finally ready to see the connection for what it truly was. They are finally ready to recognize the lessons hidden within it. And most importantly, they are finally ready to acknowledge how much this situation mattered to them. That awareness is transforming everything. It is changing the way they see the past, the way they see themselves, and the way they see this connection. And as that transformation continues, they are moving closer to a realization about what they truly wish you knew all along. And listen carefully, because beneath all the guilt, all the reflection, and all the difficult emotions your soulmate has been experiencing, there is one truth that continues growing stronger every day. It is a truth they may not have been ready to admit before, but they can no longer ignore it now. The more they look back on this situation, the more they realize that their greatest regret is not simply about what happened. Their greatest regret is about what they failed to understand while it was happening. At the time, they believed they had more time. They believed there would always be another opportunity, another conversation, another chance to figure everything out. But wisdom has a way of arriving later, and when it does, it often changes the meaning of everything that came before. Your heart needs to hear this right now, because your soulmate has reached a point where they are no longer fighting against these realizations. For so long they tried to push them away. They tried to convince themselves that looking back served no purpose. They tried to focus on moving forward without examining what remained unresolved inside them. Yet every attempt to avoid these emotions only brought them back stronger. Eventually, they understood something important. The guilt was not asking to be ignored. It was asking to be understood. And once they stopped resisting that process, a completely new level of awareness began to emerge. Recently, your soulmate has been thinking less about specific events and more about the deeper meaning behind them. They are beginning to understand that certain connections enter our lives for reasons that are not immediately obvious. Some connections challenge us. Some teach us. Some reveal parts of ourselves we did not know existed. Looking back now, they can see how much this journey influenced their growth. They can see how it shaped their understanding of love, vulnerability, trust, and emotional honesty. What once seemed like a chapter of their life now feels like a turning point that affected far more than they realized. And listen to this, because one of the strongest emotions they are experiencing right now is not sadness. It is longing for understanding. They wish they had understood themselves better. They wish they had recognized certain truths sooner. They wish they had been brave enough to listen to feelings they spent so much time questioning. The guilt they carry is connected to those wishes. It comes from knowing that clarity arrived after the fact. It comes from realizing that lessons they understand now could have changed everything if they had learned them earlier. Your soulmate is also beginning to understand that guilt and growth often travel together. The reason these emotions have become so intense is because they are no longer the same person they once were. Growth has given them perspective. Perspective has given them awareness. Awareness has revealed truths they could not see before. Every lesson they have learned has made the past look different. Every step of personal growth has uncovered another layer of understanding. The result is a level of emotional honesty they never thought possible. What surprises them most is that beneath the guilt there is gratitude. Not gratitude for the pain, but gratitude for the lessons. Gratitude for the growth. Gratitude for the understanding that emerged from experiences they once struggled to comprehend. They are beginning to realize that this connection changed them in ways that will remain with them forever. It taught them things about themselves they may never have discovered otherwise. It revealed strengths, weaknesses, fears, and hopes that remained hidden until this journey brought them to the surface. And listen carefully, because if there is one thing your soulmate wishes you could truly understand, it is that their silence was never a reflection of how much this connection mattered. Their confusion was never a reflection of its importance. Their mistakes were never a reflection of a lack of feeling. Looking back now, they can see how fear, uncertainty, and limited understanding influenced so many of their decisions. They can see how often they were struggling with emotions they did not know how to process. And they can see how those struggles shaped outcomes they now wish had been different. Your heart needs to hear this because your soulmate is finally learning that carrying guilt forever is not the purpose of this journey. The purpose is understanding. The purpose is growth. The purpose is becoming honest enough to learn from the past instead of remaining trapped inside it. Every realization they have experienced has been guiding them toward that understanding. Every difficult emotion has been helping them uncover a deeper truth. And that truth is transforming the way they see everything. As they stand at this stage of their journey, one realization feels clearer than all the others. They cannot change yesterday. They cannot rewrite old chapters. They cannot go back and make different choices. But they can honor the lessons those experiences provided. They can acknowledge the truth they once avoided. They can become the person they needed to become in order to finally understand what this connection truly meant. And deep down, they are beginning to realize that the guilt they have carried for so long may not be the end of the story at all. It may actually be the catalyst that leads them toward healing, accountability, and a completely new understanding of this connection. One that has the power to shape the future in ways they never expected possible. And listen carefully, because your soulmate is starting to realize that these signs may not be appearing simply to catch their attention. They may be appearing to deliver a message. For a long time, your soulmate viewed these experiences as isolated events. One coincidence here, one reminder there, one unexpected memory appearing out of nowhere. But recently, something has shifted. Instead of seeing individual moments, they are beginning to see a pattern. And once that pattern became visible, they could not stop thinking about what it might mean. Your heart needs to hear this right now, because your soulmate has entered a phase where curiosity is turning into understanding. At first, they only noticed the signs. Then they started questioning them. Now they are beginning to listen to what those experiences seem to be revealing. Every reminder appears connected to the same emotional thread. Every coincidence seems to lead back to the same place. Every unexpected thought somehow circles back to you. The more this happens, the harder it becomes for them to believe there is no deeper meaning behind it. What surprises them most is how these signs are affecting their emotions. They expected the reminders to disappear after a few moments. Instead, the opposite happened. The signs linger. Long after the experience itself ends, the feeling remains. A simple reminder can stay in their thoughts for hours. A memory can suddenly reshape their entire day. A seemingly ordinary coincidence can trigger reflection that continues late into the night. The emotional impact is far greater than they expected, and that realization is forcing them to ask questions they have been avoiding. And listen to this, because one of the biggest questions they are beginning to ask themselves is whether they truly understood this connection in the first place. For years, they believed they had already figured it out. They believed they knew what it meant and where it belonged in their life story. But now, every sign seems to challenge those conclusions. Every reminder seems to suggest there is another layer they have not fully explored. Instead of feeling certain, they are feeling curious. Instead of feeling finished, they are feeling drawn back toward understanding. Your soulmate is also noticing that the signs tend to appear when they are emotionally honest with themselves. During moments when they stop distracting themselves. During moments when they allow their guard to come down. During moments when they reflect on what truly matters. That is when the reminders seem strongest. That is when thoughts of you arrive with the greatest clarity. And that pattern is making them wonder whether the signs are encouraging them to pay attention to feelings they have kept buried beneath the surface. Recently, they have found themselves revisiting memories from a completely different perspective. Instead of focusing on what happened, they are focusing on what they felt. Instead of analyzing circumstances, they are examining emotions. This shift has changed everything. Memories that once seemed ordinary now feel meaningful. Conversations that once appeared insignificant now seem important. Moments they barely thought about before suddenly carry emotional weight. It is almost as if the signs are helping them view the past through a new lens. What makes this experience so powerful is that your soulmate is not being pushed toward fear or confusion. They are being guided toward awareness. Every sign seems to encourage deeper reflection. Every reminder seems to invite greater honesty. Every coincidence seems to ask the same question. Have you truly understood what this connection means? The more they sit with that question, the more difficult it becomes to ignore. And listen carefully, because your soulmate is beginning to recognize that the message behind these signs is not about the past alone. It is about understanding. It is about clarity. It is about seeing something they may have overlooked while they were focused on other things. The signs are slowly helping them connect pieces of a story that never fully made sense before. They are helping them recognize emotions they once dismissed. They are helping them understand why thoughts of you continue appearing no matter how much time passes. The deeper they explore this journey, the stronger their awareness becomes. What started as random reminders is evolving into something much more significant. The signs are leading them toward a truth they have been avoiding for a very long time. A truth about their feelings, a truth about this connection, and most importantly, a truth about why your presence continues finding its way into their life when they least expect it. As that understanding grows stronger, your soulmate is approaching a realization that has the power to change everything they thought they knew about you and about the connection you share. And listen carefully, because there comes a point when a person can no longer keep calling something a coincidence. There comes a point when the same message appears so many times in so many different ways that ignoring it requires more effort than acknowledging it. That is exactly where your soulmate finds themselves right now. For weeks, perhaps even longer, they have been encountering reminders connected to you. At first they questioned them, then they analyzed them. Then they tried to dismiss them. But now they are reaching a realization that is becoming impossible to avoid. The signs are not fading. If anything, they are becoming clearer. And with every new reminder, they feel as though they are being guided toward an understanding they have resisted for far too long. Your heart needs to hear this right now, because your soulmate is beginning to recognize that what has been happening is not really about the signs themselves. The signs were never the destination. They were the pathway. The real purpose behind them was to bring attention to something hidden beneath the surface, something that has remained present even when they tried not to think about it, something that continued existing regardless of distance, time, or circumstance. The signs simply became the method through which that truth could no longer be ignored. Recently, your soulmate has found themselves looking back over the last several months with completely different eyes. They are starting to connect experiences that once seemed unrelated. Moments that appeared random now seem connected. Feelings that appeared temporary now seem meaningful. The more they reflect, the more they realize that there has been a consistent thread running through all of it. Every sign, every reminder, every coincidence has been pulling their attention toward the same place, toward the same person, toward the same emotional truth. And listen to this, because one of the biggest realizations they are having is that they spent a long time underestimating the importance of their own feelings. Whenever emotions surfaced, they searched for explanations. Whenever memories appeared, they looked for distractions. Whenever something reminded them of you, they convinced themselves it would pass. Yet despite all those efforts, the reminders kept returning. That persistence is forcing them to ask an important question. If these thoughts truly meant nothing, why do they continue appearing with such consistency? The answer they are beginning to discover is changing everything. They are realizing that the connection never disappeared in the way they once assumed. It may have shifted, it may have evolved, it may have gone through periods of silence. But beneath all of that, something remained. Something continued existing whether they acknowledged it or not. And now the signs are helping them see that reality more clearly than ever before. Your soulmate is also beginning to understand that these experiences arrived at the perfect time. Had they appeared earlier, they might have ignored them completely. Had they appeared during a different stage of life, they might have misunderstood their meaning. But now they are in a place where they can finally receive the message. They are more self-aware, more reflective, more willing to look beneath the surface of things. Because of that growth, they are finally able to recognize what these repeated reminders have been trying to reveal. And listen carefully, because the realization that changed everything is surprisingly simple. It is the realization that some connections continue speaking to us long after we think the conversation is over. Not through words, not through direct communication, but through awareness, through memory, through emotional recognition, through moments that seem ordinary until we notice how often they occur. Your soulmate is finally recognizing that this connection belongs in that category. It has continued finding ways to reach their awareness, because there is still something important they need to understand about it. What makes this realization so powerful is that it has brought a sense of clarity they were not expecting. Instead of feeling confused, they are beginning to feel certain. Instead of questioning every reminder, they are starting to trust what those experiences are showing them. The signs are no longer creating doubt. They are creating understanding. Every coincidence now feels like another piece of a puzzle falling into place. Every reminder feels like confirmation of something they have been slowly discovering. Have you ever noticed how certain things seem to follow a person no matter where they go? Not because they are looking for them, not because they are trying to find meaning in everything around them, but because those things keep appearing on their own. That is exactly what has been happening to your soulmate recently, and the more it happens, the harder it becomes for them to ignore. At first they thought nothing of it. A random reminder, a familiar song playing at an unexpected moment, a conversation that somehow brought up a thought connected to you. Small things, ordinary things, the kind of experiences most people would dismiss without a second thought. Yet what makes this situation different is that these moments did not stop. In fact, they began happening more often, appearing in places and situations where your soulmate least expected them. Your heart needs to hear this right now, because your soulmate is becoming increasingly aware that something unusual is happening around them. They are not actively searching for signs. They are not spending their days thinking about you. In many ways, they have been focused on their own life, their own responsibilities, and their own journey. Yet despite all of that, reminders connected to you continue appearing with surprising consistency. One moment they are focused on something completely unrelated, and suddenly a memory surfaces out of nowhere. Another moment they hear words that instantly make them think of you. Then another coincidence appears. Then another. The pattern has become so frequent that they are starting to wonder if these experiences are really as random as they first believed. What surprises them most is not the signs themselves. It is the timing. These reminders seem to appear precisely when they are least expecting them. Sometimes they arrive during moments of uncertainty. Sometimes they appear when they are reflecting on their future. Sometimes they emerge during ordinary days that seemed completely uneventful. Yet every time it happens, it captures their attention. Every time it happens, they find themselves pausing for just a moment longer than before. And every time it happens, the thought of you lingers in their mind long after the sign itself has passed. And listen carefully, because your soulmate has started noticing something else. The signs are creating questions they cannot easily answer. Why now? Why does your energy keep appearing in unexpected ways? Why do certain memories continue returning when they thought they had already moved beyond them? The more these experiences repeat, the more curious they become. They are beginning to feel as though life is trying to draw their attention toward something they have overlooked. Something important. Something meaningful. For a long time, they ignored these experiences because ignoring them felt easier than exploring what they might mean. But lately, that has become much more difficult. The signs continue appearing. The reminders continue returning. The connection continues finding ways to enter their awareness. And whether they fully understand it yet or not, your soulmate is beginning to realize that these repeated experiences may be trying to reveal something they are finally ready to see. What started as a series of strange coincidences is slowly becoming impossible to dismiss. And deep down they can feel that there is a reason these signs keep finding them wherever they go. And listen carefully, because what began as a few strange coincidences has now become something your soulmate can no longer easily explain away. In the beginning they brushed it off. They told themselves that everyone experiences random reminders from time to time. Everyone hears a familiar song. Everyone thinks about someone unexpectedly. But what is happening now feels different. The signs have become too consistent, too perfectly timed, and too emotionally noticeable to simply dismiss as chance. Every time your soulmate convinces themselves that they are reading too much into it, another reminder appears, almost as if life is refusing to let the thought disappear. Your heart needs to hear this right now, because your soulmate is entering a period of their life where they are becoming much more aware of what is happening beneath the surface. Recently, they have been reflecting more than usual. They have been thinking about where they are going, and what truly matters to them. During times like these, people often begin noticing things they previously overlooked. Small details suddenly stand out. Certain patterns become visible. And that is exactly what is happening. The signs themselves may not be new, but their ability to recognize them certainly is. What surprises them most is how these reminders seem connected to specific moments of emotion. Whenever they are questioning something important, a sign appears. Whenever they are reflecting on relationships, a reminder surfaces. Whenever they are trying to understand a deeper part of themselves, something unexpectedly brings your energy into their awareness. At first, they thought this was coincidence, but the pattern keeps repeating. And with every repetition, their curiosity grows stronger. And listen to this, because one particular experience recently affected them far more deeply than they expected. It was not dramatic. It was not something that would seem extraordinary to anyone else. Yet for your soulmate it felt impossible to ignore. In the moment when they were completely focused on something else, they suddenly encountered a reminder connected to you that felt almost perfectly timed. The experience lasted only a few moments, but the impact remained with them long afterward. They found themselves replaying it in their mind. They found themselves asking questions they had not asked in a very long time. Most importantly, they found themselves wondering why thoughts of you continue finding a way back into their life. The more they reflect on these experiences, the more they realize that the signs are not just grabbing their attention. They are awakening memories that had quietly remained beneath the surface. Certain conversations suddenly return to their mind with surprising clarity. Certain feelings they thought had faded suddenly feel present again. Certain moments they barely thought about before now seem much more meaningful. It is almost as if these signs are unlocking doors inside their memory that have remained closed for years. Your soulmate is also beginning to notice that these reminders create a feeling they struggle to explain. It is not simply nostalgia. It is not simply curiosity. It feels deeper than that. Every sign seems to carry an emotional weight that catches them off guard. They cannot quite understand why these experiences affect them so strongly, but they can no longer deny that they do. Every reminder leaves them thinking. Every coincidence leaves them reflecting. Every unexpected connection to you leaves them wondering whether there is something important they still need to understand. And listen carefully, because this growing awareness is changing the way they view everything that is happening. Instead of immediately dismissing the signs, they are beginning to pay attention to them. Instead of pushing away thoughts connected to you, they are allowing themselves to explore them. Instead of assuming every experience is random, they are becoming open to the possibility that these reminders may be pointing toward something meaningful. What makes this journey so powerful is that your soulmate never intended for any of this to happen. They were not searching for answers. They were not trying to reconnect with old memories. Yet life seems determined to place these reminders directly in their path. Again and again, they encounter something that leads them back to thoughts of you. Again and again, they find themselves wondering why. And with every new sign that appears, they move a little closer to a realization that has been waiting patiently beneath the surface. Because the more these experiences repeat, the more they begin to suspect that the signs are not appearing to remind them of the past. They are appearing to help them understand something important about the connection itself, something they may have been overlooking for a very long time.